All right, next item on the agenda is number 6, vote on a resolution recommending an appropriation and bond authorization in the maximum amount of $650,000 for fire department breathing apparatus. Everybody should have gotten a copy of the Finance Board resolution. I think we have the chief and the assistant chief here to talk about this. So why don't you just take us through, you heard the questions at the beginning?
Yes.
Okay, so
I will address those as we go.
you can start pre-2002, the way you talked about it at the CEC.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So just to give a little background to everybody, this program's been ongoing since the 80s. Past Chief Neff did our largest SCBA replacement back in the 80s. And those units were replaced in early 2000.
Don't use acronyms. Tell them what it means.
Okay, sorry. The air packs that we wear to go into dangerous atmospheres, not necessarily just firefighting, but now we're getting into the hazardous materials and chemical, biological, all that wonderful stuff, that term Ebola that keeps floating around, it's out there. They have a 15-year life expectancy through OSHA, and the way that they have to be tested, the service life of the bottles. They're in their last 5-year life cycle now. The bottles are tested on a 5-year basis, and the actual breathing apparatus themselves are tested on a 2-year basis, every single component of them. The reasoning for a total replacement at the same time is so you don't get a division of the equipment amongst the ranks, where one individual is wearing one version and one's wearing another. On the safety aspect of it, everybody streamlined across the board. If there's an issue, somebody gets jammed up or we have to help them out, we all know, or we're all trained through muscle memory, the exact same components are in the same place on every unit. On the training side of it, again, I can simplify it. I have one training program for every single user that goes right down the line. It also comes into play in the areas when we deal with our mutual aid departments. We're all running similar versions of the same brand. Right now we are fit tested through OSHA to a different style masks than the departments around us. So technically and theoretically speaking, we can only wear our own versus if we were to share with somebody else. So it becomes an interesting situation there. This has been in the long-range plan. It's been a known item. We met with CEC this year, and it was on the ticket for a split funding in the, I believe, 15-16 and 16-17 plan. There was ample discussion at the CEC level this year, and it was moved on to the bonding commission as there was a package going out. We have met and spoken with the bond commission, or the committee, and it was kind of, we got in halfway through some of their meetings. So that's where you see the number of not to exceed $650,000, because we had to nail down an appointment with the vendor to vet all the pricing, which was submitted to you this evening. I'll ask for any specific questions at the end.
What was submitted this evening?
Price breakdown.
Okay.
To both answer Mr. Carr and Mr. Semino's questions, we've applied for the grant last year through the Assistance to Firefighters. On September 25th of this year, we received a letter that our grant request was not going to be funded for this year. We are currently...
Can you repeat that, please?
We submitted the grant last year through the Assistance to Firefighters for the bulk of this request. And on September 25th, we received a letter that said it would not be funded by AFG this year, Assistance to Firefighters. We're currently under revision now because the grant application period is open. I believe it closes December 5th. Our narrative statements are out being reviewed and vetted by some other area chiefs and departments who have successfully received breathing apparatus grants in the past. So we hope that it'll come to fruition this year. And it's my understanding that through the bonding commission that you only actually bond what has to be spent. So if we were given the grant, we would only have to offset the cost of whatever the balance was of the request.
Or pay cash, depending on
Can
which
I
grant.
stop you on the grant? I'm confused about, you were denied a grant and
Yes.
then you're reapplying. Is there a different scenario that you think you won't?
Yeah, they're gonna get me involved,
Denied again?
they're gonna get me involved in the beginning, not at the end,
Right.
to work with our congressman. It usually helps when you're up front with your congressman, not waiting to the end of the process to make a false
And
statement.
is
See how
the
we're doing.
timing the same then? Do you think you won't find out until next September?
It's very possible.
Right. But if you look at when this equipment will be actually acquired, it's 2017.
So what
So if you
happens?
find out in September, when you actually write that last check, that's whatever thousands of dollars less that you're gonna have to write that last check for based on what you actually get in the grant.
So we wouldn't actually be paying for it until 2018, start
In-
paying.
In theory, what's in front of everybody tonight, if all of this, 100% of this was bonded, we wouldn't bond until 2018 anyway,
Then why have the referendum for it now?
because of the lead time,
Meaning,
ordering, specing it, ordering, procuring it, the lead time.
and then what happens if, what happens if the $500,000 grant comes through?
Then we-
We just,
You know, bonds.
we don't
So-
vote it, we just take that off the
Right,
table.
right.
Got it.
You bond just.
This is an authorization to spend the money.
Up to 650.
Right.
You can't put it in surplus, that's against the law. The authorization says we're using the money for equipment,
Right.
and if we don't need to buy the equipment,
They don't borrow.
use it, you don't buy it.
It's like a school project. Your authorization is to spend 64,750 on a new school. But you don't bond $64 million, you bond what the offset of the reimbursement from the state is.
What do you do with your old stuff?
It would get turned in.
There's no
The
like,
bottles have no,
buyback?
they have no use. Honestly, I don't know what the available buyback program is. If it's anything, it's gotta be minimal because it can't be used for the service anymore. I don't know if it's good for industrial.
do they recycle any of the parts?
Do they ship it overseas?
They may.
Is there actually a
And the
buyback
baseball
program?
player exchange for.
I can find out for you.
I mean, it has metal value, right? I mean, it's
Penny pound.
There's really not much to these things.
stainless steel, no? People think stainless steel. Anyway,
To answer one further question that came as far as the money going into contingency if it were to come back, this has been done in the past. When we dealt with the radio project, Brad was involved with that as well. We received this grant for our radio project, and we were able to apply our $324,000 grant to the multi-million-dollar project, but we had to submit to AFG, Assistant Firefighters Grant, specific invoices with the actual items that were purchased that lined up with the dollar amounts that were requested for that specific item in the grant. So it's not like it's just, put in somewhere. You have to provide them documentation, and they have up to 3 years to audit you after.
So they pay for 40 of them, 35 of them, 30 of them, and then the town picks up the balance, so that's how.
Basically, the cost share for the size of our community, we're responsible for 5%, which over the price of that is.
The fire department came to capital committee and, put in a request, it's in their plan. So, it's definitely something that's bondable, has a 15-year lifespan. So we can borrow to buy this equipment for the fire department, or we can leave it in capital. That's really what it comes down to, but if we're going out to bond, we can do it in one fell swoop, and we don't have to issue debt if we get a grant. So, that's my understanding of it. Any other questions for Brian? No? We make a motion, somebody?
Well, I'd like to, a question maybe more of Lou.
Okay.
On the authorization itself, really, it speaks to an appropriation of $650,000 And this may be just a little argumentative, but should it not say not to exceed 650?
You can't spend more than what the authorized resolution is regardless.
Okay. That's true.
These are prepared by bond counsel.
Yeah, and we're refailing.
Okay.
Pulling down.
Never mind.
Like, I'll make a motion. To appropriates,
Just approve the bonding resolution.
All we have to do is approve the resolution.
all right, perfect, I'll do that.
I'll second that.
We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion?
Just a point of order. Are you and Tom able to vote on this because you were on the bonding committee?
Yeah, they can vote, or it's an ad hoc committee. It's always been that way.
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
You can't tell somebody they can't vote on it
Either
either.
why wouldn't I be?
Well, I didn't know, that's why I'm asking, because it just seemed like your vote has already been cast by the fact that it's here.
Well, my vote is already cast when I approve the budget for the town. Does that mean I can't vote when it comes up to referendum?
No,
Okay.
I don't know if that's the same side of the coin.
Wouldn't that be a...
Well, another way to look at it is if we vote yes here, it goes to public hearing on December,
No,
it's a
town
public meeting.
Public information meeting December 3rd. It's not a public.
December 3rd.
There's no public hearing required. It goes to a town meeting, which automatically adjourns to referendum on.
On questions of
Yeah.
appropriations. Okay, so if we vote yes here, it doesn't mean that we're gonna vote yes at the referendum.
Well, I'm very aware of that, I just wondered as a point of order.
You can't force anybody to abstain themselves or recuse. It's
Yeah,
up
I
to
don't
you.
think
I'd be confused too, because like the CEC, like
Right,
we're
CEC
finance
you won't-
members on lots
right.
of committees. If you're saying that we can't be on a committee, then, or it might, if that's actually the rule, that might discourage a lot of.
Well, the
those
reasoning
committees.
for having Board of Finance is like people on the committee, so they vet this stuff out before it gets to the full boards.
That's right.
Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. All right, so any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?